Hi everybody, this is Anne Basili, Level 3 Quantum Healing Hypnosis Practitioner. And today's QHHT Insights of sessions is fear. Now there are all types of fear reasons, there are all types of experiences that people come in with or experience in past lives that carry over into this life. But I want to talk about one particular one just to show you just how intense a fear situation could be if it's carried over. Now this beautiful woman came in, she would have been in her 40s. She had been experiencing fear, but to the point that it was like PTSD extreme, like she'd been in a war zone, but not only that, like she was in a war zone on the day, so every day. So that kind of fear was present with her all the time. Now, she had never experienced a war, never experienced any war zone. However, from where she was from, in the Eastern Europe, they would have had that in the past, before her time. She did grow up with some childhood trauma, based around parents being alcoholics and obviously suffering some psychological, maybe emotional abuse because of that, or emotional neglect more so. It's a very traumatic experience to not have the emotional affection or the feeling of being cared about, but also the psychological. So that was present. And in the current time, her relationship wasn't that great. She'd also just experienced, about a year before, an accident, a physical accident that had left her in hospital, lying on her back and not being able to move. And she had to do a lot of rehabilitation to get her back onto her feet and almost back to wellness. Now, the reason she was coming was obviously to find out what this fear was about. I think she was just fed up. And her stint in hospital, I think, was propelling her to come and do some work. And also there was some information that she was requiring about her relationship and what to do about that. Now, this particular woman had had something like 62 separate examinations on her brain function. Okay, so she had been in for medical treatments and investigations over 60 times to measure her brain function and to see what on earth was going on. Now, when they measured her brain function in a resting state, it was showing that she was experiencing a trauma, an extreme traumatic response to something that obviously they couldn't work out what, but that's what her brain functions were revealing, that she was experiencing extreme fear, panic, anxiousness, not just PTSD, but current, on the day, severe stress and anxiety, to the point that this was debilitating for her and had been lifelong debilitation. She always had to be accompanied by somebody and escorted by somebody. She wouldn't go out on her own. She definitely didn't drive, and that was something she was wanting to do. She couldn't drive and was so fearful of being anywhere that there was, busy people, being in the city, that type of thing. So at some point, I think in her life, she realised that she was not going to get the assistance she needed going down the medical or scientific route, and she wanted to explore something different. And that's how she landed on my doorstep for a quantum healing hypnosis session. Now, when we went into her hypnosis, when she went under, she arrived directly into the scene that was the trauma from a past life. Right into that moment. It's like it had been waiting there for her to tap into, right there and then. Now, she was an older man in that life, and they were in what I would describe as a medieval type village, very small village. and she was going into the town centre where a well was. That was the well for everybody to go and get their water in this little village. And while she was at this well, there were all of a sudden, and this is the scene that she quite literally arrived into, all of these men on horseback, all of these men dressed in outfits that are from a kingdom. Let us talk about the Inquisition, because that's kind of the feeling and of what is happening in this moment. So we've got all these Spanish soldiers dressed in their finery coming to do harm, because that is what the intention was. And we know that this has happened in actual history, so you can actually do your research and you can find this. So in that moment, her fear was extreme, even in the session. She was feeling that fear looking at this situation. This was the moment in time that has crippled her into this lifetime. Now, it was obviously quite a dangerous situation. Everybody was very poor in this village because these soldiers and this king had been depriving them of food and produce and things like that. They didn't have much. She didn't have much, or he didn't have much as the man. So he dropped what he was holding, his bucket, and ran back to the small house that he lived in, a little tiny little stone house, one room, nothing in it, just a stone floor. Standing there, looking inside, there was just a little baby on the floor. It was his baby, but his wife had passed away, leaving the baby there. And there's all sorts of emotion going on here, because he knows he can't rescue or save this baby. He can't give this baby what it needs. He knows that this baby is going to pass away. He knows he is going to pass away. So there's so much trauma experienced in this very short amount of time. And of course, all the people were captured and killed. The baby died as well. And sadly, that was the end of that life. So when we went to the Highself and asked, of course, why that was the scene that it needed to bring forward, well, of course, it was the scene that had caused her such emotional trauma, such extreme fear trauma, and it had carried over into this lifetime, and she was still trying to deal with that. And even though in the afterlife there's so much care given to the soul to repair it and make sure it's ready for its next life, this had carried across, and sometimes it does happen. But when we asked about why it came across, it was very interesting, because the Highself said that she had chosen in her contract for this life to carry the fear across so that she could resolve it in this lifetime. So that was actually the plan. And to think that here we were in that moment resolving this extreme fear trauma that she'd contracted to have an experience with in this life and to resolve it. So of course the Highself assured and confirmed that this would no longer be needed in her life, that it would be healed and released, and that she can now move forward because she's going to attend to herself in a new way. She's going to experience life in a new way. Part of the resolution for that was also the relationship coming to an end, her current relationship with her partner. That needed to finish, and she also needed to let that go and be okay and trust that even though she's going to be on her own, she's going to be okay. And the other part was for her to start to experience doing things on her own. So, of course, we had some other insights and personal questions and that following that particular particular scene and scenario and insights. But when she came awake and was brought back, and we talked about that, she said the first thing she said was, I'm going to go and get my driver's license. And it was something that she had really desired to do because she knew it would give her so much independence and freedom. And although she was terrified, she was actually feeling really excited and as if her whole world had just opened up to her to experience something new. Now, I haven't heard from her since this, and I don't usually hear from clients. It's up to them if they want to contact me and let me know. I'm always excited when I bump into them and they tell me the good news. So my heart hopes that she went and got her driver's license, and even though she would have been experiencing some loss from a relationship ending, I hope that there was some beautiful experiences to come in her future going forward, without feeling fear, without feeling PTSD, without feeling anxiety, without feeling sick to her stomach all the time. So this is the power of quantum healing hypnosis. It has the capacity to delve into all your lifetimes to find the most important aspect that you are suffering from in this life. It does not necessarily mean that it's from a last life, but it will check there and heal it, which is amazing. So if you are interested in having your own quantum healing hypnosis technique with me, you can check my website, www.orionmetaphysical, that's Orion Metaphysical, all one word, .com.au. Now, you do need to do quantum healing in person. So I'm in Western Australia, but you can go to the Quantum Healing Hypnosis official website and check for a practitioner near you. I highly recommend that if you have something in you, something in your system, something you're experiencing, and for all the reasons that you have tried, you cannot release it or it does not make sense. It's irrational, like this extreme fear with all this brainwave function, like she's in a war right there and then. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate you and value you. Until next time, have a beautiful evening. Bye.